All right, welcome back, Gator listeners. So, up next is another UHD Library DVD called Charlie Wilson's War. And this film was based on a true story. So, Charlie Wilson's War was directed by Mike Nichols, whose long career has actually spanned back to the 1960s as a director. Charlie Wilson's War was also written by Aaron Sorkin, and it was based on the biographical book, Charlie Wilson's War, the extraordinary story of the largest covert operation in history, which was written by George Cryle. The film stars Tom Hanks as a U.S. Congressman, Charlie Wilson, Phillip Seymour Hoffman as CIA agent and spy, Gus Avocados, and Julia Roberts as the sixth wealthiest woman in Texas, Joanne Herring. The plot deals with the true story of the 1980s when Soviet helicopters were shooting everything they could find in rural Afghanistan, like people, animals, and even food supplies. When the US Congressman Charlie Wilson finds out about how bad the atrocities the Soviets were committing, he decides to try and put a stop to the situation. There are multiple complications when it comes to being able to arm the country of Afghanistan. Wilson teams up with people with the connections to make it all happen in secret. It can't be publicly known that the US is sending the support. Many Soviet helicopters are downed with the weapons provided by Americans to Afghans. And the people behind it all just keep doubling the budget until it is at over $1 billion. Phillip Seymour Hoffman is fantastic in this film as Gus Avocados. He is also hilarious, and the best scene in the film is when he breaks his boss's window for the second time right after they installed a new one. It's a difficult scene to explain, which is why I just recommend you rent the movie and watch it. A funny quote from Phillip Seymour Hoffman is, "I spent the last 3 years learning Finnish, which should come in handy here in Virginia." It's a pretty funny scene. He also has a hilarious scene where during a celebration with Charlie Wilson and Miss Herring, he's kind of creepily watching Charlie Wilson's secretaries on the dance floor, and he's just kind of off in the corner. So if you rent the movie, make sure to pay attention for that scene. It's hilarious. The way that Charlie Wilson himself actually treats his secretaries is wildly inappropriate. If you watch the film, you'll see why, and I do wonder if the congressman was really actually like this. There is an interesting detail on the congressman's office wall, and it's a framed picture of an ocean oil drill. Is this also based on reality? So in the film, when they were planning what to send over, they meet with a U.S. strategic weapons expert in the CIA, and they are surprised to find out he's just an unassuming 30-year-old chess expert. It turns out the man is a Green Beret that they mention also trained with the SEALs. There are things about Charlie Wilson's personality that are both relatable and relaxed, and it seems for him, and it seems with Charlie Wilson, unlike most politicians, he actually cares about people. One of the things about Charlie Wilson's War is that it does depict Russian helicopter pilots to be ruthless killers. Happy hunting, they wish each other upon liftoff. As they gun down villagers, they discuss relationship problems as well as the semantics of a monogamous relationship. I really wonder if that's what it actually was like. It could have been the case in the 80s in Afghanistan. It could be the case today in Ukraine. It could also just be made up for the movies. In the DVD special features, there are 2 featurettes that will let you know more about the film. They mention that everything was based on a true story. And in the film, in the special features, Tom Hanks mentions that he didn't care if you show him drunk and doing drugs and womanizing because Charlie Wilson did all those things. What's interesting about this movie and the story of this film is that it's a Democratic congressman from Texas who links up with an right-wing, wealthy socialite who both try to stop the spread of communism. It's a fascinating concept that actually happened. And another thing that I find fascinating about this film in particular is that it shows Democrats and Republicans uniting for a common cause to make the world a better place, as opposed to all the fighting that goes on between the two political groups. I feel like if we could get back to something like this in the Charlie Wilson's War, I think everybody would be a lot happier, and the U.S. would probably be a lot better off if the political factions were all able to actually get along. Maybe we could try to get back to something like that to improve the planet, but who knows? Now, this was the biggest covert war in U.S. history, and it was pretty much the CIA supplying Afghans with U.S.-made weapons. Both Julia Roberts and Tom Hanks loved working with Phillip Seymour Hoffman. Julia Roberts on the special features said, "I loved my scenes with Phillip. I just loved Phillip." And then Tom Hanks mentioned that he had been an admirer of Phillip Seymour Hoffman. He said that he is one of the finest actors to have come down the pipeline. That's all I've got for Charlie Wilson's War. And I would definitely recommend that everyone watch this film. It was very good and even worth watching multiple times. I think I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times, 4 or 5 times now. There are also scenes set in Houston which make the film very relatable for all my fellow Houstonians. And again, you can rent it right here at the UHD Library DVD section.